We've got a couple things to go over here real quick, but welcome in everybody. The May Dev Diary is out. I really like this picture right here. That looks super cool. Imagine if that's actually a thing that you can go and explore. A little area that has a bridge that goes over to another little area. That'd be so neat. I'm hoping that that's in that new territory we got. But first things first, we're going to get back into our Endless Night Gunloper here very quickly, but we're going to go over the Dev Diary real quick and just kind of divulge and see what we got. You know, we're going to sort of look at it and see what we got in the Dev Diary first. So, Dev Diary May 2024. It came out on the 13th, which was, what was that, Tuesday? Yeah, I think that was Tuesday. And it follows, hello fans, here's some news about what to expect in Part 5 from Tales from the Far Territory, which we are targeting for the second half of June. So we are talking like less than a month, maybe a month away, depending on how long it takes to test and clear console certification, as well as an update on progress about bringing Tales to Switch. First things first, the Cougar. Now this from what I was reading, this sounds like one of the more interesting things, but we're going to go over here real quick. But good morning, Bavella, and good morning, Teresa, as well. Hello, hello. I recently confirmed that the Cougar will be included in Part 5. We've been waiting to add a dangerous alpha predator to the game for a while, beyond the wolves and the other dangerous wildlife you can encounter in the game. With every new type of wildlife, we try to introduce a new element of gameplay to give it a distinct role in the overall ecosystem, and also ensure it freshens up the game for our players. The Cougar will work a bit differently than other predators in the game. Cougars are very territorial and will get interested in you when you start to spend a lot of time in one region. So it sounds sort of like almost like a outdoor cabin fever type thing, where it's like if you're in a certain area too long, the Cougar's coming around. If you hang around in one region for too long, they'll take an interest in the region and occupy it. You'll then start to encroach on their territory, which is very dangerous. You'll have plenty of warning before they move in, and plenty of warning once they've occupied a region. What you won't get is plenty of warning before they attack you, once they are encroaching on your territory or you on theirs. So pay attention to the warning signs, move around the world, and be prepared with a second safe house location in a different region. Now that right there very much sounds like there is going to be multiple safe houses. I know we've talked about this before, and I've said that worst case scenario where we're going to have like one safe house in one area and that's going to be it. But it sounds like there's going to be more safe houses, and it sounds like possibly the safe house is also going to be safe against the Cougar. Like, it's not going to count against the Cougar or something. Maybe. I don't know. But it does definitely sound like we will be able to have multiple safe houses in different regions, which is kind of neat. I was hoping for that. I wasn't expecting it, but that sounds like what it's going to be. Eventually, if you stay out of the occupied region for a while, the Cougar will lose interest and leave you alone. There will be a variety of feedback systems to keep you informed of the Cougar's activities if you're paying attention. The Cougar's attack is vicious, with its own new affliction. Yay, more afflictions are always cool. And it can end the game for you. But if you're, yes, Lord, yes, the Cougar. But if you're fast and lucky, you'll get a chance to counterattack, and if you're very lucky, you'll kill it. Otherwise, it will escape but continue to hunt you down in a region it occupies. If you want to buy yourself more breathing room, you can seek out the Cougar's Den, which exists somewhere in the world, a different place each game. So it sounds like sounds sort of like how the prepper caches used to be, where it's in the game, but we don't know exactly where it's going to be. And if you destroy the den with noisemakers, now we have a reason to have noisemakers, Cougars will leave you alone for a long time. Eventually, though, they will return. So it sounds like you can take out their den. It sort of sounds almost like what you do in Witcher 3, where you bomb their den and they go away. But they'll come back eventually. Since we know having Cougars stalking you in the game might be a bit too stressful for some of our players, you'll have the choice to include them in your game or not when you start a new one. So it sounds like it's going to be a toggle switch, which is kind of cool. And when we introduce them in the next update, you'll have the option to keep them out of your current save. We're hoping that for most players, however, the Cougars become a force of nature that keeps them on their toes, keeps them moving and planning ahead, and adds an element of danger to long-term survival. So several cool things. It's gonna make an actual use for noisemakers finally. If you want to go hunt down the Cougar's Den, it does sound like we're gonna have multiple safe houses. It sounds like it's gonna be sort of like an outdoor cabin fever type thing where it's gonna encourage you to keep moving. Like cabin fever encourages you to stay outside, it's gonna encourage you to keep moving. And if it doesn't, it's gonna start to build up until you get a cougar in your area. If you destroy their den, they'll move on. Exactly, yeah. But they'll be back. Now, the Mountain Pass region is the new region, name to be announced. Looks very cool. I think that's part of it. I also think that this up here may be an artist's rendition of part of it as well, which looks like it has a small outbuildings and then a bridge that goes over to like a radio control tower, which would be really cool. In Part 5, we'll release the third and final new region for Tales. The Mountain Pass is our most vertical region so far, with plenty of steep and craggy terrain to pass through. Hey, Jimmy, hello, how are you, buddy? You can follow the narrow road up higher and higher into the region, or take the low path and rely on rope climbs to find your way around. Keep an eye on key landmarks, including some human-made locations like the weather station, which may be this right here. This may be the weather station right here. I think that might be the weather station. I'm not sure though. In general, the weather in this region is bad, and the higher you go, the colder it gets. We'll announce the region's final name at launch. So not a lot of information about it, but there it is. It's going to be a very craggy region. Looks like it might have a cave in the wall there somewhere. And then, finally, the third tale, named to be announced. We're releasing the third and final tale in Part 5, taking place in the Mountain Pass region, and this third tale wraps up the Rudiger storyline, started in Signal Void and continued in Buried Echoes. Note, if you've already finished Tales 1 and 2, you'll be able to continue straight into Tale 3. Completing the third tale will provide you with some profile-level benefits in the form of new feats. So we're going to get some new feats, which is pretty exciting, too. So it'll be worth your while to complete all 3 tales. And doing so will give you a glimpse into the world building and mysteries that will be paid off in Episode 5. So it does wrap. It sounds like, I know we've speculated for a long time, how does Signal Void, Buried Echoes, and now this new tale, how does it fit into the overall story arc? Is it separate? Is it whatever? But it does actually sound like it's going to be, it sounds like it's all part of the same thing. It sounds like the episode 1 through 5 and the tales do tie together. Maybe not directly, but it's all in the same vein. It's in the same, you can think of it sort of like being in the same universe, which is really cool. So that's kind of neat. And Misery Mode. Now this is a very interesting thing. Misery Mode. We've been working on a new experience mode specifically made for interloper players who have maxed out their mode and are looking for a new level of challenge. Misery takes Interloper and ratchets up the difficulty by adding 6 new afflictions that are applied over time. The purpose is to survive the mode for as long as possible after all 6 afflictions have come in, and while we're not 100% sure yet as the mode is still being play tested with the help of some of our Interloper players from the community, we suspect the days survived counts will be in the dozens and not in the hundreds, like some existing Interloper players are able to achieve. Just to keep the game fresh and challenging for a group of players in our community who really like punishment. Of course, this mode isn't for everyone. Oh, that's so freaking cool. You know we're going to be playing Misery Mode on the channel, boys and girls. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they say counts in the dozens and not the hundreds. Yeah, we'll see about that. Here, hold my beer. Hold my beer. We'll see about that. Now, this is the one I am. This is the announcement that I'm on the fence about. Is the cheat death system. We're adding, and I guess in the end it doesn't matter because you don't have to do it. It's not like it's going to do it, but yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting one. We're adding an optional system that allows you to cheat death. Yes, our permadeath survival game is finally offering you a way out from death that doesn't involve backing up your save file. How this will work is that upon dying in the game, players will have 2 options: die as they do currently, or cheat death. If they die, their save is wiped as currently, and they can carry on as usual. If they cheat death, they'll be offered a series of choices they need to make if they want to continue playing. These choices will offer a series of trade-offs, because while you can cheat death, you can't cheat death for free. You'll have the opportunity to retrieve your pack with some of what you were carrying at the time of death, but other aspects of the world will remain the same as they were when you died, including resources and gear items you have stored in your favorite locations, places you have explored and looted, surveying progress, Tales completion progress, etc. Each time you cheat death, the game will become progressively more difficult for you, and you can cheat death up to 3 times, 4 total lives. Your final life will be very difficult. You can cheat death once, twice, 3 times, or not at all. At each death, you'll have to make a decision about how you want to continue if you do. This is the first change to our permadeath system we've ever made in the game, and we hope it brings new dimension to gameplay for those players who aren't ready to lose their favorite survivor, or those who are just wanting something fresh. We'd love to see players get in the spirit of this and give it a try instead of backing up their saves and continuing without consequences. Episode 5. So, the cheating death thing, I don't know. I understand why they're doing it. I'm not necessarily on board with it, just from the standpoint that I think what makes The Long Dark such a unique and beautiful game is that the game has permanent consequences if you die. That there is no, that I think that's one of the things that makes it very unique, is that it's always had the very permanent consequences if you die. I understand though that there's a large contingent of people out there that have been wanting something like this as well for a long time. I'm hoping, here's what I'm hoping. You know how they talked about in misery mode, there's going to be these afflictions. There's going to be these afflictions that happen. Watch how I soar. Hey, Just Cryogen, thank you for the raid there, buddy. I'm hoping that some of these afflictions might be the consequence of cheating death. Like, maybe they'll work some of these afflictions that they're talking about for misery mode into the cheating death system. So if you cheat death, now you have a permanent affliction. You know, something like that. So, I don't know. On the cheating death part, I'm kind of on the fence. Like I said, I see why they're doing, I'll never personally use it myself, but I can see why they're doing that, because there are people who want it. And then as far as Wintermute Episode 5, we're still busy working on it. We have more to say about it later this year, as mentioned in the... Oh, jeez. Thank you for the 100 bits there, Valor. As mentioned in the Dev Diary. Cheat death lol. Where we revealed the episode title. Yeah, I pity the fool that cheats death. And then as far as Tales for the Switch, I don't play on Switch, but I guess we were originally hoping to release Tales on Switch last week, but unfortunately ran into several issues with memory and optimization with a few of the bigger regions in the game, which also resulted in some crashes we've been working on. We believe we are close to having the crashes resolved, and once those are fixed, the build will be submitted to our internal team for final verification, and when they give it the green light, it'll go to Nintendo. Once the build is with Nintendo, it can take up to 20 days to pass their certification, at which point they can release it to you. Based on our current timelines, we still think we'll have Tales available on Switch by the second half of June. Please note, this will mean that Tales 1 through 4, parts 1 through 4 of Tales, along with all free updates to the base survival mode, will be released in the game, will be updated to the current version available on other platforms. The free updates will also be available to anyone who owns the game on Switch, not just people who own Tales, just as on the other platforms. Afterwards, once Part 5 is released on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation, we will also submit it to Nintendo for the same approval process, which means we hope Part 5 available about a month after Parts 1 through 4 are released. Wait a second. Wait a second. Okay. Wait a second. Part 5 of Tales from the Far Territory. Okay. I was getting Part 5 and Episode 5 mixed up. I was like, wait a second. Are they saying... I was thinking Episode 5 is going to be a month after June. And okay. No, they're talking about Part 5. I just had a complete brain fart there. Alright, thanks for reading. We look forward to sharing the update video for Tales Part 5 when it releases in the second half of June. We will share a more precise update or date once we have it. So we're looking at second half of June for Tales Part 5. And that's going to include, well, they didn't go over the safe house stuff other than they briefly mentioned it with the Cougar. And it looks like we are going to get multiple safe houses, which is really cool. Because they did talk about second safe house location in a different region. So it appears that Part 5 will be out at the second half of June. And it's going to include the Cougar. It's going to include this new Mountain Pass region, a new tail, and it's going to include a new gameplay mode called Misery. And also, it's going to introduce this cheating death thing, which I don't know how I feel about cheating death. Maybe I wish they would just say, hey, you know, we'll allow people who play, you know, Pilgrim, Voyager, and maybe Stalker to cheat death, but every other gameplay mode, no, it's not allowed. I don't know. That sort of takes it away from me, but hey, it's their decision to make, and I'll stand by them for it. So, to me, it reads you have to rely on more than one main base. Exactly. Well, and really the Cougar, what the Cougar looks like to me, just Cryogen, is the Cougar looks to me like it's going to act like Cabin Fever for the outdoors. It's going to keep you moving. It's going to be like, hey, we're going to push you into leaving this region, and you can't just hang out here all the time. So that's going to be very cool. But yes, there is the Dev Diary coming out second half of June. Will be part 5 of Tales from the Far Territory, which I'm super duper excited about. Yeah, I'm not a big, you know, Chris, I'm not a big fan of it. I was saying before, you know, part of the charm of the Long Dark is the permanency of your decisions. If you make bad decisions and you die, your game is done. You have to learn from those and start over again and move on. I understand why they're doing it. I mean, as far as like, I'm sure they've had a lot of people who have been like, I'd really like to have another chance. And personally, I hope that they make the cheating death something that maybe like gives like one of the, you know, how they talked in Misery mode, they're gonna have like new permanent afflictions. I hope that if you cheat death, you now have a permanent affliction. You know, that you'll have a permanent affliction if you cheat death, and it's just gonna get harder and harder. So maybe it'll encourage people not to use cheat death that much, or maybe do it once and then be like, okay, I screwed up again, I'm done. I guess the thing is though that it takes a little bit, for me, it takes a little bit of the shine off of somebody saying, hey, I survived 500 days in the Long Dark. Now, you know, at this moment in time, we all know what that means. We know what 500 days in the Long Dark means. We know that you survived 500 days in the Long Dark. After cheating death comes along, what does it mean now? I died twice and I got to 500 days. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Permanent affliction for cheating death. Being ashamed to cheat death in loop allowed.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Bella, for the 100 bits as well there. But yeah, that is true. It's like right now we all have the same experience. And I guess that's the thing, that the cheating death thing I don't like, is that it's gonna make it so things aren't as cut and dry as they are right now.